Miss Judd, you're finally back. This shameless man was trying to hit on you. I've already taught him a good lesson for you. Celeste's heels clicked sharply against the marble floor of the lobby, cutting through the chaos like a blade. Her tailored black suit was crisp, her red lipstick a stark contrast to her pale, furious face. He didn't glance at Ethan, not even when he reached out to brush a strand of hair from his forehead, trying to look casual and heroic. Instead, her eyes locked onto me, crumpled on the ground, my shirt torn, face bloodied and palms still oozing from the fountain pen wound. Flicker of something raw, fear of rage, guilt crossed her features, before she schooled her expression into icy calm. Ethan Irwin, she said. Her voice low and dangerous, the kind of tone that made even the security guards freeze mid-swing of their batons. Ethan's smile faltered. He stepped back, his hands raised in a placating gesture, as if he thought a few charmed words could smooth over the mess of blood and broken phones around us. Miss Judd, you're just in time. This guy, he's a new assistant, and he tried to hit on you the second he walked in. I couldn't let him disrespect you like that, so I taught him a lesson. He gestured to me, proud as a peacock who just chased off a rival. I even tore up the love letter he brought for you. Didn't want that trash polluting your office. The Lescays drifted to the shredded paper scattered across the floor, pieces of the top secret file Daniel had entrusted me with. Her jaw tightened, she didn't say a word. Instead, she walked past Ethan, her shoulder brushing his roughly, and knelt down beside me. Her gloved fingers gently lifted my bloodied hand, and I flinched at the touch, the pain in my palm flaring. She murmured an apology so quiet only I could hear it, before turning her head to face Simon Irwin, who'd been watching from the sidelines with a smirk. Simon, she said, her voice carrying through the silent lobby. Your son just assaulted a federal agent. He destroyed classified government property. And you, her eyes narrowed, glinting with a cold fury that made Simon's smirk vanish. You stood by and let him do it. You even joined in. Words hung in the air, heavy and deadly. A murmur rippled through the crowd of onlookers. Federal agent. No one had seen that coming. Not Ethan, not Simon. Not even my colleagues from the research unit, who stared at me with wide eyes. I'd never told them about my family's connection to the Judd group. Never let them know that Celeste Judd, the ruthless CEO, who ruled the city's corporate world with an iron fist, was my older sister. Ethan spluttered, his face turning red. Federal agent. That's a lie. He's a broke nobody who tried to seduce you. Shut up, Celeste snapped. She stood up, towering over him, her posture rigid with anger. Ozzy Judd is my brother. He's a member of the top secret research unit that's been working on the Genesis project for the past 7 years. The file he was delivering, it's the culmination of that project. It's worth more than your entire family's fortune combined. And you, she said, leaning in her voice, a venomous whisper, tore it to pieces. Ethan's face went ashen. He stumbled back, tripping over his own feet and landing hard on the floor. Brother, but you never said you had a brother. You never mentioned the Jed family had another heir. Celeste laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Why would I? You think I'd parade my little brother around, letting vultures like you and your father circle him, waiting for a chance to sink your claws into the jugged fortune? Ozzy didn't want any part of this life. He chose to serve his country instead of sitting in a boardroom, signing contracts and kissing up to investors. And you beat him within an inch of his life, because you were too stupid to see past your own delusional crush. Simon recovered from his shock. First, he stepped forward, his face twisted with rage. This is a setup. You're lying to protect this brat. He's no federal agent. He's a street rat you picked up somewhere. I want proof. Celeste didn't bother to argue. She pulled a small silver device from her pocket. A federal ID badge, emblazoned with the seal of the research unit and my photo. She flipped it open, holding it up for everyone to see. The crowd gasped. The security guards, who'd been ready to attack my colleagues only moments before, now looked like they wanted to sink into the floor. They dropped their batons, Their faces pale with fear. Proof enough for you, Simon. Celeste said. She turned to the security chief who was cowering in the corner. Call the police now. Tell them we have 2 men. Ethan Irwin and Simon Irwin. Who assaulted a federal agent. Destroyed classified property. And attempted to obstruct a government mission. And tell them to bring back up. These 2 have friends in high places. The security chief didn't hesitate. He pulled out his phone, his hands shaking as he dialed 911. Simon cursed, lunging at Celeste. But 2 of my colleagues. Burly men who'd spent years training in hand-to-hand combat. Stepped forward, grabbing him by the arms and pinning him to the wall. Ethan tried to run. But a security guard eager to make amends for his earlier mistake. Tackled him to the ground. Handcuffing his wrists behind his back. Celeste knelt down beside me again. Her eyes softening as she looked at my battered face. Can you stand? She asked. I nodded, gritting my teeth against the pain. With her help and the support of one of my colleagues, I managed to get to my feet. My body screamed in protest. Every muscle aching, every cut and bruise throbbing. But I refused to collapse. Not now, not when we'd finally won. Daniel rushed over, his face filled with relief. Ozzy, thank God you're alive. We were so worried. The file. I interrupted, my voice hoarse. Ethan tore it up. Is there any way to recover it? Daniel's expression darkened. He glanced at the shredded paper on the floor. Then back at me. The file was encrypted. The paper itself is useless without the decryption key. But there's a backup. We have a digital copy stored in the research unit's secure server. But it's not that simple. I frowned. What do you mean? Daniel hesitated. Then leaned in, his voice low enough that only Celeste and I could hear. The Genesis project isn't just a research project. It's a weapon, a bio-weapon that can target specific genetic sequences. It was supposed to be used to neutralize terrorist cells. Without harming innocent civilians. But someone leaked information about it. Someone in the research unit. And we think they're working with Simon Irwin. My blood ran cold. Simon. Why would he want to buy a weapon? Celeste's face turned pale. Because he wants to take over the Judd group. He's been trying to undermine me for years. If he gets his hands on the Genesis project, he can blackmail the board. Threaten to release the weapon. If they don't make him CEO, he can rule this city with fear. Daniel nodded. We think Simon hired the mole in the research unit. We think he knew Ozzy was delivering the file today. We think Ethan's little tantrum wasn't just a case of jealousy. It was a distraction. While we were all focused on Ozzy, the mole was breaking into the server room, trying to steal the digital copy of the file. My mind raced. Everything clicked into place. Ethan's sudden attack. Simon's decision to join in the way they'd drawn attention to me. Making a scene that had attracted half the city. It wasn't just a case of a delusional intern and his greedy father. It was a carefully planned heist. Is the server room secure? Celeste asked, her voice tight with fear. Daniel shook his head. The mole had clearance. They knew the codes. They could be inside right now. We need to get back to the research unit now. Celeste didn't waste any time. She turned to one of her assistants who just arrived on the scene. Cancel all my meetings for the rest of the day. Call my driver. Tell him to bring the armored car. We're going to the research unit. She turned back to me, her eyes filled with concern. You need to go to the hospital, Ozzy. You're hurt. I'm fine. I said, cutting her off. I need to be there. This is my mission. I'm not going to sit in a hospital bed while Simon Irwin steals a bio-weapon. That could kill thousands of people. Celeste hesitated, then nodded, okay. But if you pass out, I'm carrying you to the hospital myself. No arguments, I smiled. Wincing as the movement pulled at the cuts on my face. Deal. The drive to the research unit was tense. Celeste sat beside me, dabbing antiseptic on my cuts. Her hands gentle despite her usual tough exterior. My colleague sat in the back talking quietly. Their voices filled with worry. The armored car rumbled down the street. Its windows tinted black, its doors reinforced with steel. Outside, the city buzzed with life. oblivious to the danger that lurked just beneath the surface. When we arrived at the research unit, we found chaos. The front door was smashed in. The security guards lying unconscious on the floor. The lights were flickering. The alarm blaring. Daniel cursed, drawing his gun. "Stay close," he said. The mole could still be here. We moved through the building, our guns raised, our footsteps silent. Research unit was a maze of hallways and labs, filled with expensive equipment and top-secret documents. We passed the lab, where I'd spent countless hours working on the Genesis project, where I'd laughed and argued with my colleagues, where I'd dreamed of making the world a safer place. Now it was a crime scene. We reached the server room at the end of the hallway. The door was wide open. Inside, a figure was hunched over the main server, typing furiously on a keyboard. It was a woman, Dr. Elena Marquez, one of the lead scientists on the Genesis project, one of my closest friends. "Elena," I said, my voice filled with shock. "What are you doing?" Elena froze. She turned around, her face pale, her eyes filled with tears. In her hand, she held a small USB drive, the digital copy of the Genesis project file. "Ozzy," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I didn't have a choice." "They have Mia," Elena whispered, her knuckles white around the USB drive. "Simon, he has people watching her school. If I don't deliver this, my daughter dies." The silence in the server room was heavier than the steel-reinforced doors. My gun felt like lead in my hand. My palm, still raw from the fountain pen stab, throbbed in sync with my heartbeat. "Elena," I said, stepping forward, ignoring the way my bruised ribs screamed. "We can save her. You know the unit. We have resources. Don't do this. You have protocol, Ozzy," she cried, tears spilling over. "Protocol takes time. Simon gave me 20 minutes. Simon is in custody," Celeste's voice cut through the air, sharp and authoritative. She didn't have a weapon, but her presence was more intimidating than Daniel's tactical gear. "My security team has him pinned to a wall. Whatever he promised you, the deal is dead." Elena shook her head frantically. "Not Simon. He's just the middleman. The people he's selling to, the buyers. They're the ones watching Mia." She backed up toward the emergency exit at the rear of the server room. Her hand hovered over the fire suppression manual override. "Elena, don't," Daniel warned, raising his weapon. "I'm sorry, Ozzy," she sobbed. She slammed her palm against the red button. Hiss. The room erupted in a deafening roar as the halon gas system triggered. Thick, white chemical fog blasted from the ceiling nozzles, designed to starve a fire of oxygen. It also blinded us instantly. "Back! Get back!" Daniel shouted, coughing. I lunged through the mist, trying to grab her, but my injured leg buckled. I hit the floor hard, the cold gas stinging my eyes. I heard the rear door clang shut. The magnetic lock engaged. "She's gone," I wheezed, crawling back toward the hallway where the air was breathable. Celeste was there, dragging me upright by my collar, her expensive suit now dusted with chemical powder. "She took the drive. She has the weapon." "We track her," Daniel said, wiping his eyes, his face grim. "She's driving a unit-issued vehicle. It has a GPS transponder." "And if she knows that?" Celeste asked, her eyes scanning the chaos of the lab. "She's one of your lead scientists. She knows how to disable a tracker." "Then we track the money," I said, leaning against the wall, fighting the black spots dancing in my vision. Simon Irwin was broke. He needed cash fast. He wouldn't have set this up without a proof of funds from the buyer. "Celeste, we need access to the Irwin financials. Now." Celeste pulled out her phone. The screen was cracked, but it worked. "I'll have my forensic accountants tear their offshore shells apart. By the time I'm done, I'll know what brand of toothpaste Simon's grandfather used in 1950. She looked at me, her expression shifting from CEO to sister. "But you are done. You're bleeding through your shirt." "I'm fine," I lied. "You're going to the hospital," she ordered. "Daniel, get the car. I'll run the command center from your hospital room. But if you die of internal bleeding, I will bring you back to life just to kill you myself for being an idiot." The private wing of St. Jude's Hospital looked more like a hotel than a medical facility, mostly because the Judd Group owned the building. I was stitched up, taped, and pumped full of fluids, sitting in bed with a laptop on my knees. Celeste had turned the room into a war room. 3 of her assistants were typing furiously on tablets in the corner, while Daniel paced the floor, on the phone with the director of the agency. Found it, one of Celeste's assistants said. A wire transfer initiated 3 days ago. $10 million, routed through the Cayman Islands, landing in a shell company registered to Simon Irwin. Origin? Celeste asked, not looking up from her own screen. A holding firm called Vanguard Medical Solutions. Based in Geneva. My blood went cold. Vanguard, I muttered. Daniel stopped pacing. You know them? It's a front, I said, typing the name into the agency database. Vanguard is a subsidiary of the Obsidian Trust. They're arms dealers, but high-end. They don't sell guns, they sell destabilization. Viruses, malware, assassination contracts. If the Obsidian Trust has the Genesis project, Daniel said gravely, they won't use it to stop terrorists. They'll modify it. They'll sell it to the highest bidder to target political rivals, whole bloodlines. Elena mentioned a drop, I said. She said Simon gave her 20 minutes. She's meeting the contact. The tracker on her car is dead, Daniel confirmed. She ditched the vehicle 3 miles from the lab. She's smart, I said. She won't go to the drop blind. She'll try to secure Mia first. I looked at Celeste. You have security teams all over the city. Simon said he had people watching Elena's daughter at her school. Can we get eyes there? Celeste tapped her earpiece. Team 6, reroute to St. Mary's Academy. I want a perimeter. Look for a black sedan, 2 males, likely armed. Do not engage unless the child is threatened. I repeat, secure the child first. She looked at me. If we save the girl, Elena has no reason to give them the drive. Or, I said, struggling to sit up, we use the girl to draw the buyers out. Celeste glared at me. We are not using a child as bait, Ozzy. No. We use me, I said. I'm the lead on Genesis. I know the decryption key. The drive Elena stole is useless without the code. If the Obsidian Trust realizes they can't open the file, they'll come looking for the only other person who can. You want to surrender yourself? Daniel asked, skeptical. I want to make a public announcement, I said. Leak it. Federal agent Ozzy Judd hospitalized, carrying the encryption key in his memory. Let them come to us. That's suicide, Celeste said flatly. No, I smiled, though my split lip stung. It's a trap. And you're going to help me spring it. The plan was insane. It was dangerous. It was exactly the kind of thing Ozzy Judd would do. 2 days later, the Judd Group announced a surprise charity gala at the Metropolitan Museum. The guest of honor? The heroic federal agent who stopped the assault at the Judd Tower. It was a challenge broadcast on every news channel. Come and get me. The museum was locked down tight. Snipers on the roof, undercover agents in tuxedos mixing with the city's elite. I stood near the Temple of Dender, wearing a tuxedo that hid the bandages wrapped around my torso. Celeste stood beside me, looking regal in a midnight blue gown that cost more than my annual salary. You look stiff, she murmured, sipping champagne. My ribs are taped together, I grumbled. And I feel like a sitting duck. That's the point, she said. Simon and Ethan are rotting in a holding cell, singing like canaries. They confirmed the buyer is a man named Volkov. An Obsidian broker. He's here. Here. Inside. My facial recognition software flagged him 10 minutes ago. He's using a fake ID under the name, Baron DuPont. He's currently near the Egyptian wing. Where is Elena? We haven't found her yet. But we secured her daughter. Mia is safe at my penthouse with 4 Navy SEALs watching cartoons with her. Does Elena know? We couldn't reach her, Celeste said. She went dark. Suddenly, the lights in the great hall flickered. A low hum vibrated through the floor, the sound of the backup generators kicking in, but failing. They're hacking the grid, Daniel's voice crackled in my ear. Ozzy, get to the safe room. Now. Too late, I said, watching the shadows lengthen. From the crowd, 4 men separated themselves. They weren't wearing tuxedos, they were wearing tactical vests over black turtlenecks. They moved with military precision, cutting through the panicked guests. Mr. Judd, a voice spoke from behind me. I turned. A man with silver hair and a scar running through his left eyebrow smiled at me. Volkov. You have something I need, Volkov said pleasantly, holding a suppressed pistol beneath a napkin. And you have a stolen drive that's useless without me, I replied, keeping my hands visible. Celeste didn't flinch. She stared Volkov down like he was a disappointing quarterly report. The drive is acquired, Volkov said. Dr. Marquez was very cooperative once we showed her a live feed of her daughter's school. The feed was looped, Celeste said coldly. We have the girl. Volkov's smile faltered for a fraction of a second. Is that so? Then I suppose I have no use for the good doctor anymore. He raised his free hand and snapped his fingers. From the balcony above, a figure was shoved forward. It was Elena, bound and gagged. A mercenary held her at gunpoint. The code, Mr. Judd, Volkov said. Or Dr. Marquez takes a very long fall. Don't give it to him, Ozzy. Elena screamed through the gag, muffled but desperate. I looked at Daniel, who was signaling from the shadows. Take the shot. No, too many civilians. Fine, I said. I'll give you the key. But let her go. Code first, Volkov said. I stepped closer. It's biometric. Voice recognition. I have to speak it into the drive. Volkov produced the USB drive from his pocket. He tossed it to me. I caught it. It felt heavy. This was it, the culmination of 7 years of my life. A weapon that could wipe out a specific genetic lineage. A tool for genocide disguised as a scalpel. I held the drive up. The password is. I took a deep breath. Self-destruct sequence Alpha 9. Volkov's eyes widened. What? The drive in my hand beeped once, a shrill, piercing sound. I reprogrammed the recognition software weeks ago, I said calmly. It triggers a localized electromagnetic pulse. Zap. A burst of blue light exploded from the drive, frying it instantly. The shockwave killed the lights completely, knocked out the mercenaries' comms, and disabled the electronic lock on the balcony door upstairs. Now! I yelled. Celeste kicked Volkov's shin with her stiletto heel, a vicious, calculated strike that shattered bone. He howled and dropped the gun. I tackled him, ignoring the pain in my ribs, driving my elbow into his jaw. Up on the balcony, Daniel and his team breached the doors, taking down the mercenary holding Elena before he could react to the darkness. Gunfire erupted from the sides as the undercover agents engaged Volkov's team. Guests screamed, diving under tables. Celeste wasn't cowering. She picked up Volkov's fallen gun. She didn't use it, but she held it ready, standing over me as I pinned the broker to the ground. It's over, Volkov, I panted, blood dripping from my nose. The file is gone. The backup is wiped. You have nothing. Volkov laughed, a wet, gurgling sound. You think, this is over? The trust never forgets. Neither does the Judd family, Celeste said, and she knocked him out cold with the butt of the pistol. The weeks that followed were a blur of legal depositions, internal investigations, and physical therapy. Simon and Ethan Irwin were facing charges of treason, kidnapping, and assault. With Celeste's lawyers on the case, they would likely die in prison. The Irwin fortune was seized, their assets liquidated. Celeste, true to her nature, bought their flagship building for pennies on the dollar and turned it into a community center. Elena was in protective custody. Because of her cooperation and the duress involving her daughter, she avoided prison, but her career was over. She and Mia were being relocated to a safe house in Oregon, given new identities. I sat in Celeste's office, looking out over the city skyline. My arm was finally out of the sling, though my ribs still ached when it rained. You're resigning, Celeste said. It wasn't a question. She was reading a file on her desk, not looking at me. The agency offered me a promotion, I said. Director of Special Operations. And I turned it down. Celeste finally looked up. Her eyes, usually so cold and sharp, were soft. Why? Because I realized something, I said, standing up and walking to the window. I spent my whole life trying to run away from being a Judd. I thought it meant being like our parents, cold, distant, obsessed with money. But watching how you fought for me, for Elena, for the innocent people that weapon would have killed. I turned to face her. You used your power for good. You were more of a hero in that boardroom than I was in the field. Don't get sentimental on me, Ozzy, she warned, though a small smile tugged at her lips. I'm done with secrets, I said. I want to come home. There's a lot of work to do with the foundation. A lot of messes to clean up. Celeste stood and walked around the massive oak desk. She stopped in front of me, reaching out to straighten my lapel, a mirror of the gesture Ethan had tried to make months ago, but this time, it was filled with genuine affection. We make a good team, she said. The ruthlessness and the righteousness. Which one am I? I joked. You're the brat, she said, pulling me into a hug. It was stiff, awkward, we weren't a hugging family, but it was real. Welcome home, brother. I looked over her shoulder at the city below. The Genesis project was destroyed. The bad guys were in chains. And for the first time in years, I didn't have to look over my shoulder. I wasn't Agent Judd anymore. I was Ozzy. And that was enough.